Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our discussion on 5G cellular communications. My name is Mondo Mikhail. I'm your moderator. I'm with ADLINK Technology. I'm the Services and Solutions Architect for North America. With me today, I'm honored to have Yeang, who goes by WY. He's a very exciting guest today. He's with Intel Corporation for 20 years. He's the general manager of the Ecosystem Development Organization for the Intel Network and Edge Group and also the Network and Edge Solutions Group. WY, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me today, right? ADLINK been a good partners. I believe today going to be a great conversation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's get started. 5G, it's a big topic. Most of us, while we're watching television or driving in our car, we hear commercials for 5G, from Verizon, from AT&T or T-Mobile. That's how we really know 5G from what we see on TV and what we hear on the radio. Can you help us understand what 5G really is as a technology and why is it so disruptive?
Yeah, of course. So 5G offers the next generation wireless network capability with the potential for revolutionary application extending far beyond the smartphones and other mobile devices. And we are talking about a new range of the 5G use cases and application that going to converge the connectivity, the intelligent edge, and the Internet of Things, which known as IoT. All those will going to benefit everyone. And 5G will unlock the opportunity across IoT, broadband services, edge computing, connectivity, and also unleash the AI. And this go way beyond just the classic cell phone that we or smartphone today that we are very familiar with. If I just quickly go through some of the examples here, we're talking about harnessing the power of the IoT, whereby 5G promise the low latency and high network capacity that will help to bring the high massive volume of the IoT devices and the expansion as well, and almost giving the devices near to real time capability to sense and respond, right? And this is a natural pairing between the 5G and IoT together. Intel offer about 300 plus of the market-ready solution catalogs across the different IoT use cases, and we have a number of those contributed by ADLINK as well. And then we do have the second part of it, which is a broadband, a light health services, and all the major telco in the world today are deploying 5G network way more predictable to able to remove any of the slowdown due to the sudden usage spike in the network. And we do have a broad ecosystem partners across Intel network builders that able to offer a wide range of the network across the broad. And then the third piece of it will be the edge computing and the connectivity towards the distributed edge computing, whereby you don't need to move the data back and forth, right, from between your distributed edge to your centralized data centers, which might be potentially 1,000 miles away. And 5G edge computing will become more pervasive to help the industry dramatically able to scale up the usage of the data and able to add on the insight required faster and instantly. This is a very much different as the 4G. Real quick is the AI, right? So applying AI of data at scale is really needed, right, to accelerate all the efficiency, able to correlate the data faster between different locations. And this is where 5G and AI will combine the superpower together and able to enable the market things like the AI inferencing at the edge, right? Able to train the data at the edge itself that requires such a massive connectivities and massive data to process. AI will help to make it more effective. And lastly is this whole immersive experience, right? We all know cell phones or smartphones, their connection. It would just simply change your life.
Wow, that was a lot of information. That seems really exciting. The ability to connect everyone to everything, connect all the unconnected devices. It's wonderful to hear the intelligence that's going to be put into the network because of the services being brought in by 5G's capacity. We didn't have so many things like this with 4G, the ultra reliable communications, the high-speed broadband, bringing AI right to the edge. That's just a game changer for most businesses and for most people, giving us services we never had before. Let me ask you, does 5G have to be implemented from the ground up, or can it be phased in with existing 4G infrastructure? There's been billions of dollars invested with AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. How is 5G going to be rolled in with such investments in the current infrastructure?
Yeah, good question. So, well, it will be a migration path, right? And it really there will be a couple of major challenges. As always, a new technology introduced to the market, right? So for 5G, among a list of the major challenges will be things like, for example, the infrastructure upgrade, the devices availability, the spectrum license, the range of limitation, the power consumption, right? It's pretty much a power hungry, say, architectures, and how to monetize the new services, having invested into such a massive infrastructure, say, expansion, and especially how to sell latency, right, as a premium, right, rather than just selling the data, say, now we're talking about selling low latency, right, with a premium price tag on top of it, right? All those are we call it as a challenges, right? But it is also the opportunity. But if we look at the migration from 4G to 5G, really, it can break it down by 7 options if today is you look at the standard, but it might be worthwhile to just go through only a few types of the deployment option. If we look at 4G itself, in the 4G world, both the radio access network and core network will have to use the 4G or LTE standard. 5G will give you more flexibility in such that you're able to mix and pair in the sense that combining the 4G RAM with the 5G core or 5G NR with the 4G EPC. But all those really, if we put down all the complexity, right, put aside all the complexities, you can summarize it down to twofold, right? The standalone and non-standalone. Standalone will be the use cases to use only the radio access technology, either LTE or 5G NR, and you could combine that both control and user plane to go through the same RAN system, but then the deployment itself, right? You could mesh that with or combine that with the 5G core networks, right? So this will make sure that some handover will happen, but then you'll make sure the services continuity. And then the other form will be non-standalone, which stands for NSA. As often, this model often will look at a multiple radio access technology combined together with the control plane. Will go through a master node and split it across the master and secondary, but then there'll be still tight in the networking between the 4G a RAN system and the 5G NR. So and any operators will go through those two models, right? Standalone and non-standalone, really depending on the schedule, depending on the existing say network that you need to preserve, right? And the timeline that you need to go and hit, right? It could be complex, it could be simple as well, but the market itself do have a different solution to serve the needs.
That's very interesting. It's good to get your perspective on how the current carriers are phasing it in, how they get to still keep monetizing their 4G while they roll into their 5G investments. That's makes a lot of sense from what I'm hearing in the industry as well. Now, your terms for non-standalone and standalone, that really rolls into my next question, the standalone portion. There's a big buzz about private 5G and how it's going to revolutionize the factory floor, how it's going to give connectivity to disparate places that didn't have it. Can you help us understand what private 5G is and who really benefits from it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I do agree, right? It's kind of natural to link to the next topic, which is like private 5G, right? If we look at private 5G, let's get down to a basic of the definition first, right? Private 5G is a form of the wireless network technology whereby it delivers the cellular connectivity for private network use cases, right? So layman terms, right, provide a form of connectivity, right, for a private usage, right? So often you're referring to businesses, enterprise, right, and so on. And it's not new per se because it is something that already lived within today's technology with the LTE, with the Wi-Fi as well. But then it is an alternative to the Wi-Fi and the private LTE. But what make it more promising, because when you look at the 5G rollout, right, go back to my earlier conversation, one of the challenges to roll out 5G is to consider a huge amount of the 5G small cell in order to meet the infra expansion need. In order to speed up the entire expansion as well to meet the SLA required by the vertical market, by the businesses, by the enterprise, now there's an option for the businesses and the enterprise vertical market to adopt private 5G as their connectivity solution, instead of like continue to expand the Wi-Fi. Now you have the solution that come in to help you to meet your needs, but at the same time help you to connect the unconnected devices in your premises, right? Often we're referring to smart manufacturing with more than a dozen, 100,000 sensors, right? Now you can connect that together in a very secure, right? And the SLA way, right? And all those within your own management ability, right? Which is good. And the other thing is the cellular technology itself could be costly, because all the licensed spectrum to operate, if you're the big carrier, big operators, you have to purchase those spectrum, right? And you have to build a network, and you have to lease it out, right? Now we're talking about the opportunity for the private sector they're able to either lease some part of that spectrum for your own usage, or some of the organization could even come in to build their own cellular networks, right, for private usage. And this often we can refer back to in US itself, like where we are, right, the CBRS, which stand for the seasons broadband radio services, right? So CBRS do have a different band, right? And this allowed the private sector in US able to get into this market, right, and able to serve the market needs, and especially when we're addressing the use cases like critical real time with ultra reliability, low latency, high availability, or rather you are the uninterrupt coverage for massive number of devices, but then not real time data, right? Or any type of those usage model, private 5G will help your industry to serve the needs. And that will cut across their use cases in manufacturing, in healthcare, in robotics, whereby the connectivity boost were provided by the 5G, but then the other part of the quality assurance, right, streaming the data, pull it out from the sensor and so on, connecting the massive IoT devices now can come together, right, and able to manage by the private sectors, right, to meet their own needs, right. So this is exciting. Definitely still building stage, right, but now 5G offer the path to get there, right? Whereby it helps to simplify all the connectivity as well under one roof.
That is really exciting. Private 5G, it seems like it has a lot of promise. You don't have to start with Wi-Fi or an expensive cable plant in your facility. You can set up your own private small cell, give the level of connectivity, service level agreements to meet all these different communication paradigms and infrastructure, all within private 5G. I really enjoyed that explanation. So many changes coming.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, what is the time frame for 5G to become more ubiquitous and begin to play a larger role in our day-to-day lives?
Yeah, this is a pretty good question. From time to time, the industrial analysts, the tech companies is constantly updating the market data, in fact, right, to reflect the reality that year by year, right, how the industry is making progress, right. So if you look at today, the major deployment is already out there, right. Today 5G is here, right. First at all, 5G is here, right. The deployment already roll out by now across most of the country, and we're talking about the mix of the NSA and SA that I mentioned just now, right. It's happening across large global telco operators. Some are moving more ahead, right, towards cloudifying the entire network, and some lagging. But then we're talking about a majority big pocket of the Western Europe, like Telefonica, DTAC, Vodafone, right, in US here, right, AT&T, Verizon, in Asia, Rakuten, SKT, 3 operators in China, Singtel, and so on. all those operators, they make significant progress by rolling out 5G to provide the 5G coverage nationwide. Now, the next wave that we see coming up in 2023 will be the emerging country that will pick up the pace to roll out 5G, right, in order to provide coverage, right? And we're talking about the others here, pocket of the Asia Pac, right? We're talking about India, we're talking about the Eastern Europe, Latin America, and so on, is coming up, right? And then for the country that already roll out 5G, the next thing to do is to look at how to expand the infra further with the 5G small cell, and this often will come along with the private 5G that we talk about just now, right? That will be all the next step that need to come in order to able to enable the use cases that able to get into a different type of the verticals here industry, right? And different use cases has been tested out so far and deployed across different verticals industry, right? And we can easily point out a few of the use cases that already happen, like healthcare, retail, agriculture, manufacturing, logistics. There are quite a number of success stories already tested out, but then the next thing to do is really how to unlock the business opportunity, the business value, and able to simplify the deployment and able to enable the market in scale, right? And this itself, we're looking at the next 2 to 3 years to ramp up, right? And the market maturity will be quite different based on the nature of the geography, the nature of the country, right? The government policy, right? Where government going to invest more, right, to incentivize the industry as well. And all in all, we're really looking at the next 2 to 3 years that the global wise will at least having a 5G coverage, and then for those countries that already deployed the 5G cell network, we're talking about expanding further, right, with the small cell and the private 5G, and then with the ecosystem going to build up across the world and the use cases, right? This is where the power of the open power of the ecosystem will come in to help to move the industry along with the government incentive, right? So we're going to see quite a big breakthrough, I believe, when it comes to 2025 and beyond, right? Simply the market we're going to fill up with a lot of the matured 5G solutions. So I'm excited. The industry should be excited, right? This is coming up.
Wow, it sounds like some incredible use cases and some incredible global expansion for 5G happening at such a rapid pace. This really reminds me of the late 90s or early 2000s when the internet first had its promise, the buzz about the internet and all its capabilities. That took a while to ramp up, but it did touch all our lives. 5G really sounds like it's taking that to a completely different level with the cellular space and the spectrum and all the different use cases and the amount of intelligence that the network is going to contain. It's going to revolutionize the way we work, the way we interact, and all the different levels of things that are connected. WI, I want to thank you so much for the interesting discussion. You're so knowledgeable. Thank you for sharing that knowledge with us. I just want to say thanks to my very esteemed guest, WI from Intel, 20 years experience as a general manager. It's been a pleasure having you today, and we look forward to future discussions with the upcoming ADLINK podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.